The man who proudly called himself Money is now facing a situation where the IRS wants a share of that money. For more than 2 decades, Oscar De La Hoya has had a front-row seat to Floyd Mayweather's financial journey. Throughout that time, the Golden Boy has never been shy about sharing his opinions. Every twist and every controversy involving Mayweather's finances has given De La Hoya another reason to speak out. Now, a new development has reignited one of boxing's most bitter rivalries. The IRS has filed a $7.3 million federal tax lien against Floyd Mayweather, bringing years of tension between the two former champions back into the spotlight. On March 26, 2026, the Internal Revenue Service officially filed the tax lien against Floyd Mayweather Jr. in Clark County, Nevada. Although the filing happened in late March, it became widely known after multiple news outlets reported it on April 9, 2026. According to the IRS, the lien covers unpaid federal taxes from both 2018 and 2023, with the total amount reaching approximately $7.3 million. At first glance, that figure might not seem shocking for someone who has reportedly earned well over $1 billion during his boxing career. However, the details paint a much different picture. According to the filing, the entire balance remained unpaid at the time it was recorded. Because of that, the IRS now holds a legal claim against Mayweather's property in Las Vegas and potentially other assets until the debt is fully settled. When Business Insider and several other media outlets contacted Mayweather's legal team for a response, his attorney declined to comment. This tax issue didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. In reality, it comes after several months of growing questions surrounding Mayweather's financial situation. Since the beginning of 2026, the retired boxing superstar's finances have faced intense public scrutiny, with nearly every new report adding another layer to the story. The controversy first gained major attention in January when Business Insider published an extensive investigation claiming that Mayweather had borrowed heavily against his real estate holdings, was dealing with foreclosure concerns, and had accumulated a growing number of unpaid bills. The report suggested that the financial image he projected publicly might not match reality. Mayweather strongly rejected every allegation. He insisted the reports were false, accused the publication of spreading misleading information, and filed a defamation lawsuit against Business Insider and one of its reporters. But as time passed, even more financial disputes began to surface. In fact, this marked the 4th lawsuit filed against Mayweather during 2026 over claims involving unpaid bills. For someone who has publicly celebrated earning nearly $1 billion throughout his legendary boxing career and frequently posts photos surrounded by stacks of cash, the situation has raised plenty of eyebrows. As the headlines continued to grow, one familiar voice became louder than almost everyone else: Oscar De La Hoya. The Golden Boy has never hidden his feelings about Floyd Mayweather. Nearly 19 years have passed since Mayweather defeated him by split decision, yet the rivalry has never truly disappeared. Even after both men stepped away from the biggest stages of boxing, they continued exchanging verbal shots through interviews and social media. So when news broke about the IRS filing, Oscar wasn't about to stay quiet. This also wasn't the first time De La Hoya questioned Mayweather's financial image. Back in February 2024, Mayweather shared a photo on Instagram showing what appeared to be an $18 million tax payment made to the IRS. He used the post to boast about how much tax he pays, even after retirement. Oscar quickly mocked the post. He commented, "Not to be an A, but where are the routing and tracking numbers on that check? Sorry, that's not real. Haha." That single response revealed everything about De La Hoya's opinion of Mayweather's famous money persona. He never believed the image Floyd presented to the public, and in Oscar's eyes, this latest IRS filing simply added more evidence to support his long-held belief. But this story goes far beyond a tax bill. To truly understand why Oscar De La Hoya continues paying such close attention to everything Floyd Mayweather does, you have to go back nearly 2 decades, to one of the biggest nights in boxing history. The date was May 5, 2007. It was Cinco de Mayo weekend in Las Vegas, and the MGM Grand Garden Arena was packed for the highly anticipated showdown between Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather Jr. The event shattered financial records and became one of the most successful fights boxing had ever seen. As co-promoter through Golden Boy Promotions, De La Hoya reportedly earned around $52 million, setting a new record for the highest purse ever received by a boxer at that time. Mayweather took home approximately $25 million, along with additional earnings tied to pay-per-view sales. The event itself generated extraordinary numbers. The fight sold roughly 2.4 million pay-per-view buys at $57.50 each, producing nearly $136 million in PPV revenue. It was a record-breaking achievement that demonstrated just how enormous the event had become. Live gate revenue reached nearly $19 million, with more than 16,000 fans filling the MGM Grand Garden Arena. At the time, it became another record for a boxing event held in Nevada. Virtually every major celebrity seemed to be sitting ringside, and the atmosphere inside the arena was unforgettable. The crowd overwhelmingly supported Oscar De La Hoya. But before the opening bell even rang, Floyd Mayweather had already found a way to stir controversy. Wearing a sombrero as he entered the arena on Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mayweather mocked De La Hoya's Mexican-American heritage, instantly adding even more emotion to an already heated rivalry. Once the fight began, the contest turned into a tactical chess match. De La Hoya pushed forward aggressively for much of the fight, trying to pressure Mayweather and break through his defensive style. During the early rounds, Oscar enjoyed several strong moments, forcing Floyd to move around the ring while searching for opportunities to counter. Whenever Mayweather drifted toward the ropes, De La Hoya tried trapping him there and unloading combinations to both the body and the head. Oscar wanted a firefight. Mayweather wanted nothing to do with one. When the final bell rang, the fight had been so competitive that fans throughout the arena were unsure which fighter had done enough to win. The tension only grew as everyone waited for the judges' scorecards. When the official decision was announced, the crowd erupted, but not in celebration for Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather was declared the winner by split decision after 12 closely contested rounds, capturing the WBC super welterweight title. Judge Jerry Roth scored the fight 115-113 for Mayweather, while Chuck Jampa awarded it 116-112 in Floyd's favor. The third judge, Tom Kaczmarek, saw the fight differently, giving Oscar De La Hoya a narrow 115-113 victory. Although opinions remained divided, several respected observers believed Mayweather had done enough. HBO's unofficial scorer Harold Letterman scored the bout 116-112 for Floyd, and the Associated Press reached the same conclusion. Even so, the controversy surrounding the fight never truly disappeared. One of the biggest storylines had nothing to do with what happened inside the ring. Instead, it centered on the unusual relationship between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr. For years, Mayweather Sr. had been working as Oscar De La Hoya's trainer. Their partnership began in 2001, but preparing Oscar to fight his own son created an incredibly awkward and emotional situation. As the fight drew closer, disagreements over money and family loyalty complicated everything. Eventually, Mayweather Sr. was no longer part of De La Hoya's corner on fight night. Instead of standing beside Oscar, he watched the contest from a ringside seat that De La Hoya had personally purchased for him. According to reports, the ticket cost around $2,000. After watching the entire fight unfold, Floyd Mayweather Sr. made comments that immediately grabbed headlines. He admitted that, in his opinion, Oscar De La Hoya had done enough to win. "I thought Oscar won the fight on points," Mayweather Sr. said afterward. "He threw more punches and was the aggressor. My son had good defense and landed some clean shots, but I still felt Oscar pressed the action enough to deserve the victory." Those words carried enormous weight because they came from Floyd's own father. For Oscar De La Hoya, those comments have never been forgotten. Nearly 20 years later, he continues bringing them up whenever the opportunity arises. In his eyes, they serve as proof that even someone from Mayweather's own family questioned the official outcome. But according to De La Hoya, the split decision wasn't the biggest reason the rivalry continued for so many years. What truly frustrated him happened after the fight. Oscar has repeatedly claimed that his contract with Mayweather included a rematch clause that allowed another fight to happen within 1 year. According to De La Hoya, that rematch never happened because Mayweather announced his retirement at exactly the right time. Speaking about the situation years later, Oscar said, "People don't realize we had a rematch clause for 1 year. What did Floyd do? He retired for 1 year and 1 day. Whether that timing was simply a coincidence or a carefully planned business decision remains a subject of debate." To De La Hoya, however, it was no accident. He believes Mayweather intentionally stepped away long enough for the rematch clause to expire, avoiding the risk of facing him again while protecting his undefeated record. Oscar has often argued that Mayweather's famous money image wasn't built only on earning huge paydays. He believes Floyd was also extremely calculated when it came to choosing opponents, managing risks, and preserving his perfect record. From Oscar's perspective, retiring just long enough to eliminate the rematch obligation fit perfectly with that strategy. Now, nearly 2 decades later, the rivalry has found new life. Reports suggest that Mayweather is preparing to return to the ring once again in 2026. An exhibition against Mike Tyson has been discussed, while a professional rematch with Manny Pacquiao has also generated major headlines. As those plans became public, Oscar De La Hoya once again decided to speak his mind. Posting a video on Instagram, he challenged Mayweather directly. "Come on, Floyd," Oscar said. "Fight a real fight. You're still protecting your zero. On paper you're 50-0, but people know you've lost." He didn't stop there. Oscar reminded everyone of his father's comments after their 2007 fight. "Your own father said you lost to me," De La Hoya declared. "And people still don't know we had a rematch clause for 1 year. What did you do? You retired for 1 year and 1 day." His message made one thing perfectly clear. The disappointment from that fight has never disappeared. Oscar still believes he deserved another opportunity to settle the score inside the ring. He then shifted the conversation toward his own career and reflected on one of the most painful chapters of his life. Looking back at his devastating defeat to Manny Pacquiao in 2008, De La Hoya admitted that the loss affected him far beyond boxing. "Ever since I got beat by Manny Pacquiao in my last fight, I've wanted to fight every single day," he explained. "But I couldn't because I wasn't right. Physically, emotionally, everything. I was dealing with depression. My spirit wasn't where it needed to be." Oscar went on to describe how the past several years have changed him. "I've put in the work," he said. "These last 5 years have completely changed me." The timing of those comments was impossible to ignore. As De La Hoya spoke publicly about Mayweather, Floyd himself was facing growing uncertainty surrounding his reported September 19 showdown with Manny Pacquiao at the Sphere in Las Vegas. What was expected to become the biggest attraction of Mayweather's comeback was suddenly surrounded by controversy. According to multiple reports, Mayweather wanted to change the scheduled contest from a fully sanctioned professional bout into an exhibition match. That decision reportedly created serious disagreements. Officials connected to Pacquiao's team claimed that Mayweather had originally signed a contract for a professional fight and had already accepted an advance payment connected to the agreement. Jas Mather, CEO of Manny Pacquiao Promotions, told ESPN that Mayweather was now violating the terms of that contract by attempting to change the nature of the event. To Oscar De La Hoya, the entire situation looked familiar. In his view, it followed the same pattern he had criticized for years. Avoid unnecessary risks. The IRS tax lien may be grabbing the biggest headlines, but it is far from the only financial challenge surrounding Floyd Mayweather in 2026. Throughout the year, a series of lawsuits and unpaid debt claims have created the impression that his financial empire is facing increasing pressure. According to multiple reports, the legal actions against Mayweather have piled up at an unusual pace. While none of these allegations alone prove financial trouble, together they have raised serious questions about the stability of the image he has spent years building. Earlier in the year, the 49-year-old boxing legend was sued over nearly $338,000 in allegedly unpaid rent for a luxury duplex at the Baccarat Hotel and Residences in Manhattan. The apartment reportedly carried a monthly rent of approximately $100,000. One of the property's owners, Layla Sentner, later told Business Insider that after months of missed payments, she finally managed to speak directly with Mayweather. According to her, he appeared genuinely surprised by the situation. He had no idea he was that far behind, she said. The rent dispute was only one of several legal claims that soon followed. Luxury jeweler AJ's Jewelry accused Mayweather of taking expensive watches and gold chains worth roughly $1.675 million, while allegedly paying only $300,000 toward the purchase. A separate jeweler also filed legal action, claiming Mayweather failed to honor a settlement agreement connected to an outstanding debt of approximately $3.9 million. The lawsuits didn't stop there. Another company alleged that Mayweather never paid for a private charter flight to Turks and Caicos that reportedly cost $15,690. The case was filed in Los Angeles County by Jetset Aircraft against both Mayweather and one of his associates. The company is seeking full payment, along with additional punitive damages. Perhaps the most dramatic legal battle, however, was started by Mayweather himself. Only weeks after Business Insider published its investigation into his finances, Mayweather responded by filing a massive $340 million lawsuit against Showtime Networks. In that complaint, Mayweather argued that his financial difficulties were not caused by reckless spending. Instead, he claimed that hundreds of millions of dollars earned during his boxing career had been secretly diverted into accounts controlled by his longtime advisor and former manager, Al Heyman. The lawsuit named Showtime Networks and former Showtime Sports president Steven Espinoza as defendants. Filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court, the complaint seeks at least $340 million in compensatory damages, along with punitive damages. According to the lawsuit, Showtime knowingly participated in what Mayweather describes as a years-long financial fraud scheme. The allegations are extraordinary. Mayweather claims that instead of sending fight revenue directly to him, Showtime transferred large payments into bank accounts controlled by Heyman and his business associates. One of those accounts was reportedly linked to Mayweather's longtime tax attorney, Jeff Morris. From there, the complaint alleges, the money was moved through a network of hidden accounts, unauthorized transfers, and transactions that were intentionally mislabeled. The lawsuit also contains another remarkable claim. According to Mayweather, when his new financial team later requested Showtime's accounting records for an audit, they were allegedly told that many of those records had either been destroyed in a flood or were otherwise unavailable. Showtime's parent company, Paramount, strongly denied every allegation. In an official statement, a spokesperson said the claims had no legal or factual basis and promised the company would respond through the court process. While those legal battles continue, reports about Mayweather's assets have added even more questions. Business Insider reported that during late 2025, Mayweather sold both his private jet and luxury homes located in Miami and Beverly Hills. The publication also claimed that several other assets, including residential properties and his Las Vegas strip club, had been pledged as collateral for loans owed to financier Don Henke. The report further stated that 2 condominiums owned by Mayweather at Trump Las Vegas were temporarily seized because of unpaid property taxes before eventually being returned after the taxes were paid. All of these developments lead to one obvious question. How much is Floyd Mayweather actually worth today? Finding an accurate answer has become increasingly difficult. Over the course of his legendary boxing career, Mayweather is estimated to have generated more than $1.1 billion in earnings. However, if the allegations made in his lawsuit against Showtime contain any truth, he may not have personally received a significant portion of that money. At one point, Celebrity Net Worth estimated Mayweather's fortune at around $500 million, based largely on the assumption that he had collected the vast majority of his career earnings. Today, that estimate sits closer to $100 million. Even then, many observers admit that calculating his true wealth is extremely difficult because of the ongoing lawsuits, asset sales, debt claims, and unanswered financial questions. What makes this entire story especially fascinating is that it is not completely new. Mayweather and the IRS have been involved in tax disputes for more than 20 years. Time after time, the same pattern has appeared. A major tax bill emerges. Questions about liquidity begin to circulate. Then a huge fight takes place, generating enough income to satisfy the outstanding debt. Following his record-breaking payday against Manny Pacquiao in 2015, the IRS filed another tax lien against Mayweather for more than $22 million. At the time, Mayweather argued that although he possessed enormous wealth, much of it was tied up in investments and other assets that were not easily converted into cash. Eventually, he used the enormous earnings from his 2017 superfight against Conor McGregor to pay the outstanding tax bill. Looking even further back, IRS records show a